Have you ever wondered what it's like to actually live in Israel, to move your life to Israel, to become Israeli? Well, in today's video, we're going to explore exactly that. Shalom, my friends. This is the Kiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. Today's a little bit of a different kind of video, a bit of a more fun video, I should say, for me, because I get to share with you a book that I put out some years ago called Becoming Israeli. And every week we have a video about modern Israel, right? About modern issues relating to security and to culture and to demographics and all kinds of different things about Israel. Something we haven't discussed is what is it like to actually move one's life to Israel? We know that in the Jewish tradition, making Aliyah, which means to move to Israel, is a really big deal. It's a really important thing. Making Aliyah literally means to go up because in Judaism, we believe that you spiritually elevate yourself. You elevate your life by moving to the land of Israel, right? To the modern state of Israel. For 2,000 years, Jewish people were exiled all around the world, and they're praying and longing and waiting for the day that they could actually come home. And we're living in the unbelievable times, the miraculous times, where Jews have come home, and there's millions of Jews now living in Israel, and still so many more coming home every single year. So I made Aliyah, or moved to Israel, about 20 years ago, in the summer of 2004. It was the best thing I ever did in my life. But of course, at the same time, it was also a challenging thing, right? Moving across the world, away from your family, away from everything you knew, right? To even though it's a Jewish state and I'm Jewish, it still was a foreign culture on some level and a foreign language. I needed to learn Hebrew. I needed to get used to new customs and new ways of being and living. Right? Israel is very, very different than America. So there was quite a transition, and it took some time. Sometimes I feel like I'm still in that period of taking time, getting used to Israeli culture and society. It was an amazing journey as well. Again, one that I for sure don't regret. Only love and feel so blessed that I was able to bring into my life. So I want to share with you some excerpts from my book. I wrote a bunch of essays for this book, and I collected other people's essays, other people just like me who moved to Israel from other countries around the world. And we collectively wrote about our experience. So I'm just going to share a few snippets from the book. And through those snippets, you'll get a sense of what does it mean or what is it like to become Israeli, to move to Israel and to engage in the process of acclimating to life in Israel. So here I'll share a few different things. First of all, one of the writers, one of the contributors to the book says, realize your children will be Israeli. I mean, it's obvious, but still, a small detail, but important. Not only will they be first generation Sabras, right? Sabras means that you were born in Israel. They will laugh at your Hebrew, which my kids do, correct your grammar, which my kids do, and wonder why you demand they use such words as please and thank you, right? Israel is an amazing place to live and is an amazing place to raise your kids. But all those niceties of other countries, maybe like America, aren't found so easily here. And people just abrupt to the point, straight up. Let's, forget the please and thank yous. Let's just be real. But there's also a sweet side to it because people really do feel like family here, right? Even strangers on the street, right? They feel like family and they can go up to them and ask them for help and all these different things. Okay. Another snippet about making Aliyah and moving to Israel. Within 5 years, your Hebrew will not get better, but your English will become worse. You will be unable to speak any language correctly before 8:30 a.m. Hint, invest in a good spell checker. It is a funny kind of joke amongst us who do move to Israel that we don't become fluent in two languages. We become okay in two languages, right? We hit a certain level of Hebrew, right? Like for me, I didn't grow up with any Hebrew. I came to Israel 20 years ago not knowing any Hebrew, and I learned and I studied and I got to a certain level. But while your Hebrew is getting better, your English actually does get a bit worse. So you feel like you're mediocre into languages. Okay, a few other things, insights. Okay, um, into here's a funny one. Okay, a lot of these are funny. You will look at your bank statement to check how much you don't have in your account. There's a big kind of joke that like how do you make $1 million in Israel come with $2 million, right? It's a joke, but there's something real to it as well. Like it is hard to make a living in Israel, but it's worth it because you get to live in the land of Israel and be, back in your Jewish homeland. But that is a bit of a joke that people check their bank account to see how much they're in minus, not in the plus. But anyway, you will look at your bank statement to check how much you don't have in your account. The larger your overdraft, the more successful your Aliyah, right? Moving to Israel. The statement, the way to make a small fortune in Israel is to come with a big one, will become less funny as reality sinks in. Let's move on to some other ones, all right, about becoming Israeli. Like over the years, you do become more and more Israeli. You get used to the norms and the customs and the ways of being. So here's a couple of funny ones. You on the highway, you overtake not one, not two, but even three cars on the highway at once. In America, I wouldn't even pass one car at a time. I'm just like, okay, there's a car in front of me. It's going a little slow. I'll be patient. Here in Israel, there's something about the culture. You just like get around one car. I can pass two cars. Yes, I have even passed three cars at once on the highway. It's kind of crazy. Okay, hitchhiking becomes another mode of transportation. Even when you're waiting for a bus, you stick out your finger just to see if someone stops. I've done that a million times, right? In America, hitchhiking is either illegal or dangerous. In Israel, it's very much part of the culture, especially amongst the youth, but even older people. And like I said, it's like one big family, so people do stop for one another much more frequently than, let's say, in America. Okay. You're becoming Israeli when you can't think of a certain word in English, even though it's on even though it's your native tongue, right? I forget English words all the time now as I speak more and more Hebrew. You're becoming Israeli when you don't want to hike in anything but sandals, right? Israelis are well known for wearing sandals as long as they possibly could, right? Meaning in terms of the weather, right? You're becoming Israeli when you start calling all kinds of strangers achi, which means my brother in Hebrew. That's a beautiful one. All right. You're becoming Israeli more when you ask random strangers how much they pay in rent and how much money they earn from their job. Very typical Israeli questions to ask. Um, you're becoming Israeli more when you find yourself genuinely not noticing when people cut you in line. Israelis are also known for like, there's a line. They don't really see the line. They're just going to go up to the front of the line, right? And it's an interesting thing. Anyway, let's end with a few other ones that have to do with religious life, right? Kind of what I like to call and others like to call only in Israel moments, right? Things that only happen in Israel. And then when I moved to Israel, I started to notice that there's certain things that only happen in Israel. Why? Because Israel is the only Jewish state in the world. So it's the only place where these things can happen. There's so many of them, right? And you can see in my book, Becoming Israeli. You can actually find this online. You can find it on Amazon. All right. But we just have time for a couple more. Okay. So here, these are real stories, either that happened to me or other people who I spoke to. Um, Again, only in Israel moments. All right. I called a restaurant, this happened to me, to place an order for takeaway. In the middle of my order over the phone, I was asked to wait a few minutes as they were lighting Hanukkah candles. I heard the whole thing over the phone. I heard them say the blessings, sing the songs. It was an amazing moment. All right. A woman's car broke down in the middle of a traffic circle on my way home from the beach. Somebody else wrote. I pulled over and helped her get out to the side of the road. She repaid me with a homemade challah for Shabbat. Amazing. Okay. Um, Here we go. Okay. Here we go. I received the following email from the taxi app right before Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur is a time of like forgiving people and asking people for forgiveness if you wronged them or hurt them throughout the year. So this app sends out a text message that says Shana Tova, meaning Happy New Year, wishing you an easy fast, right? Because Yom Kippur is a fast day. We apologize if we offended you in any way, or God forbid we're late to send a cab. Please note that cabs will not run on Yom Kippur. So two amazing things here. The company is asking for forgiveness if they did anything wrong to you throughout the year. Excuse me, and they're letting you know that there's not going to be any taxis on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the one day of the year in Israel that religious, secular, doesn't matter. Nobody drives. There's no cars on the roads, not on the highways. It's like a carless society for an entire day. It's an unbelievable thing. All right, let's end with one last thing, and with this, we'll say shalom. This is a really beautiful one, and a little bit of an emotional one. All right, and this is the following. This guy wrote about his own experience. He says, I'm a soldier. I got off at the train station in Nahariya and went into a bakery. I picked up a couple of pastries, and when I went to pay, I noticed that my wallet was gone. I asked him to watch my bag from the army and ran off to search for my wallet. I found it in a trash can, emptied of the 300 shekels I had in it. He got pickpocketed. I went back to the bakery and told them that what happened and that I wouldn't be able to pay. They insisted that I take the bag of pastries anyway, which they continued to fill. Right? Israelis know how to take care of soldiers so well. Right? Every soldier is like their own son or daughter, brother or sister. It's an amazing thing. I thanked them a lot, the soldier says, and left. Later, when I opened up the bag to eat the pastries, I found not only the pastries, but also 300 shekels in cash. That, my friends, is what it means to move to Israel, to move your life to Israel, and to become Israeli. It's a great honor and a great merit, and I feel so blessed that I was able to. All the best, my friends, and be well.